Hello, everyone, and welcome to this React JS learning series. I'm Rahul Trimukhe, your guide on this exciting journey into the world of modern web development. If you have ever wondered how websites like Instagram, Facebook, or Netflix feel so fast and interactive, the answer lies in frameworks like React JS. React has become one of the most in demand skills today, not just for web developers, but for anyone looking to build dynamic, responsive user interfaces. The best part, you don't need to be an expert in JavaScript to begin. Through this series, we are starting from absolute scratch, and I'll walk you step by step from setting up your first React application to understand how components, states, and hooks works. By the end, you will just know React. You will be able to build with React. So, what exactly we are going to cover in this? What React is and why the world loves it, how to set up your development environment, how to create and structure your first React project, JSX, writing HTML inside JavaScript, components, the building blocks of React application, props and states, how your app thinks and reacts. The next concept is hooks like use state and use effect, and of course, lots of hands on examples, no boring theory. This session is perfect for students getting into front end development, developers transitioning from HTML, CSS, JS, anyone curious about powerful UI framework, or even if you just want to build your own app. All you need is a basic understanding of JavaScript and the willingness to learn. I'll break down every concept in a simple and a practical way. I have been working with React for years, building applications, training teams, and simplifying concepts for learners. My mission is simple: learn React the easy way with real examples and zero confusion. This isn't just lecture, it's a guided journey. We are going to build, break, fix, and learn together. So get ready, grab your laptop, open your code editor, and let's begin the journey into React.js from scratch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along. Let's dive in and start building with the React. So, all right, now that we are ready, let's officially step into the world of React. Welcome to React.js, a library that has completely transformed how we build user interfaces on the web. React was created by Facebook, and today companies like Netflix, Airbnb, Uber, Instagram, and so many more rely on it to deliver fast. Just give me a second. Okay, sorry for that. So, what exactly is React? React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces, but not just any interface. It helps you build apps that are fast, dynamic, modular, and easy to scale. React is loved by developers for three simple reasons. One is components. You can build UI in a small blocks and reuse them. The second one is the virtual DOM. React updates only what's needed, making apps super fast. And JSX, you write HTML inside JavaScript, clean, simple, and readable code, and that the best part. So we will be covering every concept and detail in future sessions. Okay, React doesn't force you to learn new language or framework. It just JavaScript, but a little bit smarter. In traditional web development, we manually change HTML when something updates, but in React, your UI is always sync with your data. Change the data, change the state, and React updates the view for you. No page refresh, no manipulation of DOM. Everything just works seamlessly. So that's React in nutshell. A powerful, efficient, and elegant way to build modern web applications. Next, we are going to set up our development environment and start building our very first React app together. So let's get into it. Before that, let's understand the agenda of this session. Now we come to the heart of React, the core concepts that make it so powerful and popular. If you understand these building blocks, React becomes easy, even enjoyable. The first one is the components, the building blocks. Think of components like reusable Lego pieces. Each component represents a part of the UI, a button, a form, a header, anything. And instead of writing one giant HTML file in React, we break things into smaller independent pieces. For example, a navbar component, a footer component, a card component, and the best thing, once you build a component, you can reuse it everywhere, anywhere in the app, just like a function. The second one is the JSX. HTML inside JavaScript. JSX is one of the React's superpower. It allows you to write HTML like code directly inside your JavaScript. So instead of doing this document dot create element div, you simply write hello React. If you remember, like if you have used JavaScript in past, you will get to know about what is document. It feels like HTML, but it's actually JavaScript under the hood. That's why React code looks clean and readable. The next one is the props component. We use props to pass inputs to the components. The props are like parameters in a function. They help you pass data from one component to another. Imagine a card component that shows a username using props you can pass. This makes your components dynamic and reusable. Changes the props, change the output. So it is directly dependent on the inputs that you pass to your component. Then we will see states, uh, which remembers things, right? State is how React makes components interactive and alive. It's like a memory box. The component remembers value over time. For example, number of times a button was clicked. um, is the user logged in? What text is inside the input box? And when the state changes, React automatically updates the UI for us. No manual DOM work, uh, no page reloads. So everything will get updated automatically. Next, we will be seeing like what is virtual DOM. It's a React secret sauce, we can say. This is what makes React so fast. The virtual DOM is like a lightweight copy of the real DOM. Instead of updating actual page every time something changes, React updates the virtual DOM first, then compares and only updates what is necessary. It's like having a smart assistant that says only the small part changed. I will update just that, not everything, and it will get reloaded. In summary, so to recap, React is based on five foundations. One is components, JSX, JavaScript syntax expression, we will call it as props. We pass data from child component parent component to its child component, and state, which is used inside the same component, and virtual DOM, which will handle the DOM manipulation. The only things will get changed which needed. Together, this let us build apps that are modular, efficient, and easy to scale. In the next part, we will set up our development environment and actually create our first React app. Understanding React.js. Now that we know the core concepts, let's step back and understand React from a broader perspective, what it really is and why it matters today. React is not a framework, it's a library. Just keep a note of this. A library focused on one thing, building rich and interactive user interfaces. That means React doesn't try to do everything, it just does like UI and does it brilliantly. Why modern? Why now? Because today's users expect instant interaction, smooth experience, no page reloads, apps that feel like mobile apps even on the web, and React enables exactly that what users wants. The React's key strengths, the component architecture. Traditionally, developers used jQuery and manually updated the DOM, but modern applications are much more dynamic, and that approach breaks quickly. React solves this by letting us build reusable components that manage their own UI, manage their own data, can be plugged anywhere, can be tested easily, and React doesn't replace JavaScript, it powers it. It's extend its power, right? React will uses variables, functions, objects, and ES6 features, but adds a smarter way to connect data and UI. You update the data, React updates the UI. No manual interactions, and you don't need to like manually reload your page. The only sections which got changed will get reloaded whenever needed. So backed up by the best, which was created by Facebook, used by top companies like Airbnb, Netflix, Uber, Instagram, Shopify. A massive community and ecosystem is there who is supporting this technology. Thousands of reusable libraries are already built in npm packages. You can just get it installed and use it. UI kits are also available, like you can use Fluent UI, which was developed by Microsoft. So you don't need to get start from scratch. You can just use from the UI kits. In simple words, React lets you build fast apps, scalable apps, user-friendly apps with less code that's easier to maintain. That's why React is called the modern UI library. It gives you the tools to build the interface of the future. So next we will see why choose React and what are its benefits of using React.js. Now let's talk about a very important question. Why should you choose React? What makes it the go-to choice for modern web development? The first one is large ecosystem. React has one of the biggest ecosystems in the front-end world. Whatever you want to build, forms, charts, UI components, animations, there is a ready library or tools for it. Material UI, Redux, React Query, Tailwind, Next.js, all this power up your React apps effectively. The second one is high demand in the market. React developers are among the most in demand professionals today. From startups to enterprise companies, everyone is building React based applications. So, what does it mean? More jobs opportunities, higher salary range, better career growth. And the next one is like corporate adoption. React is not just academically popular, it's used in real product at massive scale. Companies like Facebook, Netflix, Instagram, Airbnb, Walmart, Spotify all trust React for their UI. If it's good enough for them, it's beneficial and powerful. The next one is scalability. React works beautifully for small projects like personal websites and scales easily to huge platform with millions of users. Its com- its component-based architecture makes it easy to grow your code base without losing structure or its performance. The next one is its reusable components. This is one of the React's biggest strength, I must say. You build a component once and reuse it everywhere. Example, a button component can be used in forms, dialogues, product cards, nav bars. This means less code, more consistency, fast development, easier maintenance. So in short, React gives you a huge ecosystem to build with high demand in the job market, real world adoption at global scale, a structure that grows with your product and project, reusable components that save time and efforts. That's why React isn't just popular, it's practical, powerful, and future ready and friendly. The next one is like React world impact of the real world impact of React.js. Now let's look at how React is not just technology, it's a global standard. The real proof of its power lies in who is using it and how. React.js is trusted by uh, some of the biggest companies, as we have discussed earlier, in the world across multiple industries. That this isn't theory, it's real at scale uses. Netflix uses React for its fast, dynamic user interfaces, ensuring that whether you are on a TV, mobile, a browser, the experience is smooth. React helps deliver blazing performance, seamless navigation, personalized content rendering. Instagram entire web version is built using React. Everything from feeds to stories, notifications. React allows them to update UI instantly, handling millions of users live, introduce new features without breaking the app. Yes, Microsoft. Even Microsoft uses React. They have adapted it across products like Outlook, Office web apps, Teams components, Xbox web experience, and SPFX. React works perfectly for both enterprise apps and consumer platforms. Other major adapters, in fact, React is used by Airbnb, use Uber, Shopify, Discord, Dropbox, Walmart, Reddit. So covering everything from e-commerce to social media, slash, SaaS platform, and more. Why that matters? When companies with millions of users trust technology, it means it's reliable, it's scalable, it's tested under pressure, and it's here to stay. So when you learn React, you are just learning a tool. You are learning the technology. I mean, you are not just learning a tool, you are learning the technology that powers the modern web. So next we will see the setups and tools. Before we write a single line of React code, we need to set up the right tools. Don't worry, this will be quick and I'll guide you through each step. The first one is the Node.js. First, we need a Node.js. It's a JavaScript runtime that lets us run JavaScript outside the browser, and it comes with npm, which we will use to install React. In simple words, Node is the engine that runs our development workflow. The steps are you can go to the nodejs.org. Let me just go to the site and showcase with you. Just give me a second. Okay. So yes, this is a site where you can click. Currently, the latest Node.js version is 24. You can just download as per your operating system. If you're using Mac OS, you can install this. If you're using Windows, you'll be having an option to choose Windows and then get that particular package installed. Okay, I have already installed this Node.js, which is the prerequisites. If you face any issues while downloading or installing this, please write a comment. I'll reach out to you. We'll try to help you out with there. Okay, great. So let's move. Once you install this, and then you can type a command node -v, which will gives you which version of node that you have already uh, now installed in your system. And with that node, you'll be also installing npm, so it will automatically get installed. So to check the version of npm, you can check npm -v, so you should see the version numbers. So node gives us npm, and npm is like a marketplace of packages we use to build our modern apps. Okay, great. So the next tool that we need is like VS Code. It is one of the most popular code editor in the world, and for good reason. Like smart auto suggestion it gives, built-in terminals are there, debugging support is also there, extension for reacts are available, git integration, and even themes. And now Microsoft has also linked GitHub Copilots, and also we can use Amazon Q for our code assistance. Okay, so again the steps are same, like you can just go to this code.visualstudio. Let me just show you, just give me a second. You can come to this browser, go to this site and download for your operating system. Like if you're using Windows, download it for Windows. If you're using Mac OS, download it for Mac OS. It's a bit simple, it's not that complicated. Okay, and okay, and the once you install it, right, in your operating system, so you can just open the VS Code, go to extension panel and install. I'll show you which are the extensions that we need to install. Just give me a second. I have already installed VS Code. It's open over here. Okay, okay. So these are the tools where you can once you install these tools, right, which as per your need, it will get added in the sidebar. And okay, so you can search here for ES7 plus this one. It was there. So this is one of the best and extension I must recommend you to use to get the React or Redux snippets, plus ES6 snippets will be there. So to get start with it, and to prettify your content, whatever the lines of code that you will write, right, so this extension will help you to get it formatted, so the code formatted, which I'll recommend to use, so you can get it installed. And to get the icons, I'll suggest you to use this material icon theme. Okay, and you can use git lens. Okay, and For the IntelliSense, I'll suggest you to use VS Code IntelliSense. I don't know why it's not there. There is an extension called VS Code IntelliSense, which will help us like for auto typing and auto suggestions. Anyways, so this is the way you can set up your VS Code. Okay, let's go back. So we covered Node.js and VS Code, and then lastly we need a tool to bootstrap our React application. So we have two great options to get started with our React development. One is Create React App, which is a beginner friendly and official tool from React team, and it's great for learning. And the second one is like White, which is super fast modern build tools, and which is recommended for new projects today. Both tools creates a full React project with just one command, no manual setup, no complicated configurations. It just works. Okay, and again, the steps, you don't need to install anything for this. You just need to open your terminal and then execute a command called npm create white at the latest. So it will use latest templates, and then you can enter the project name. It will ask you follow-up questions, which you can enter, and then you can select the framework that you want to use, right? Whether you are developing your application in JavaScript itself, or like if you want to use TypeScript, which is tightly bind code. Okay, so you can choose that option, and then change the directory to that created project, and then install all the required dependencies packages, and then you can execute that particular application. So yes, White gives us instant startup, uh, lightning fast reload, and modern tool chains available with White. So I would recommend to use White. In summary, to recap, we need Node.js to run JavaScript and install packages, VS Code to write and manage our code efficiently, comfortably, and White or create React app to quickly set up a React project. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next topic. Start coding your React app. So there are a few commands, as I mentioned earlier, right? Run the command to create React application using White, and you can then change the directory and then install required dependencies using npm install, then start the development server to preview, see the output on the screen. Okay, so we will be doing this, don't worry, like the practical implementation we will be doing in the next step. So the next one is core React concepts. Okay, so JSX. The long form of JSX is like JavaScript XML. Is a syntax expression that allows you to write HTML like code inside JavaScript. JSX lets us write UI in a way that looks like HTML but works like JavaScript. It makes components easier to read, write, and visualize. Um, I'll give you example while implementing, creating a sample project. Okay. Again, the next one is the components. Components are the building blocks of our React application. The key points that we need to consider for the components is like its reusability, independent, encapsulated both UI and logic, help build large UIs from smaller pieces, Think of components like the blocks, building blocks. Each blocks does one job, and we combine them to build a full application. Okay. And the next one is the state. State is dynamic data that React tracks and remembers. And why state is important is like state makes components interactive. Like if you have a form, right, and the inputs needs to be captured from the user. So that form inputs you can store inside the state and use it again. And then once the user is done filling the form, you can submit the data. Okay, in between, if a user wants to update anything, so he can go and update the data, and which will keep the state updated. Okay. Button clicks events are there, like on click of button, the states needs to be get changed. Like you have a counter which needs to be get updated. Okay, so that kind of functionality you can implement drop down selections. So in case if you have a cascaded drop downs, in case like if you want to provide two drop downs options, one is for state and ct, and according to the selection of state, you wanted to show some CTs in the drop down list. So that kind of cascading implementation you can implement using the states approach, and instantly it will get updated. The DOM will get updated. Okay, virtual DOM. And API data, you can store it in the states and use it as per your need. State store data that changes, and when it changes, the UI updates automatically. So JSX lets us write UI component structure or UI, and state makes our UI interactive. Okay. So the next one is your first React component, which we was waiting for since long time. Okay. So let me just open a VS Code. Okay. So these are the tools. You can just open the terminal. Okay. What I'll do is I'll create a folder first in my open a folder inside documents, a new folder first, React app. Okay, I have created a folder. I'll just close this. And this is the command which you can use to create your application. npm create void, let us to install the following packages. So it will, if this particular package is not yet installed, right, it will ask you to get it installed. Okay, I'll install that. And it's asking us to provide a project name. I'll say hello world. Package name I'll keep the same. uh, Invalid packages name package. Okay, which framework that you want to use? Vanilla is the normal JS, and we wanted to use it with the React JS framework, right? And obviously, uh, React TypeScript and React compiler. Many options are there. We will use just plain TypeScript, and okay. So what it's doing is like now the scaffold is getting created and it's installing all the required npm packages for me. So see, we got our first error. Thankfully, it's saying that the current node version is like node 16, but it requires node version about 20 or 22. Okay. So what we're gonna do, we will do the same process again. I'll just delete this. Okay, and I'll just clear the solution. Let's check the version which we have currently installed in ours. Okay, it says 16.20. Okay, we use nvm to have multiple versions in our system. Okay, I'll just list down. So these are the node versions currently installed in my machine. So I'll be using 24. It's 24. Okay, let's see what is the node version now. It's 24.11. Okay, let's run the command again. Okay, hello world. World. We will use React.js with TypeScript. No, we don't want. Yes, and let's get started. In case if you have any questions, please write it in comment, and also let me know, right, like from where you have joined. You can just type your name and the location from where you have joined. Yep, it's creating our solution, our first React application now. It has installed our required node modules. Okay, and here our public files will be placed, which will be static files, I can say, and all the application related source code will stay inside this src folder. Okay, so everything related to the application which will be dynamic, it will stay inside the src. And the most important is like this package.json, which will explain what exactly is there in your React application, which are the packages that you are using. Okay, what are the dev dependencies, which will not get deployed in your production environment, but it's needed to create your bundle. Okay, which needed. And these are the dependencies which will get deployed in production. Currently, you can see that we have only two dependencies installed. One is React, and second one is the React DOM. React is used for creating that JSX content, right? For that, we use React JS. And the React DOM is used to render your application in browser. Okay, for that purpose, we use React DOM. And these are the scripts, whatever the commands that we will be having, right? So we will be writing inside the scripts. You can create your own scripts and place it over here and run it from your terminal. This will explain the name of your solution, whether it is private. If you wanted to publish it as an npm package in npm repository, right? So you can keep it as false. It's not private. Okay, so I guess our application is ready now, uh, and it's already served. Okay, let me just hit this. Superb. So this is our hello world application, the default application created by white tool. Okay, the counter is getting increased. Okay, do you have any questions on this, like how we have created? You got it right, the basic idea about it. I'll explain the code later. Okay. So this is the state which is getting updated on click of this count button. Okay. And when I'll refresh this, right, it will get reset to 0 because the the scope of that state is limited to that component and that particular session. Okay. So it will get restored. You can store the current state in the backend and retrieve it on load and then set it as a default. Then it will show like I have kept it as like I have clicked it 5 times and then current state is the count is 5 and I stored it in the backend. And whenever I reload the page, I'll get that data from the backend and like set the counter default counter as 4 from the backend and it will show you. So this implementation also we will be able to do it. Okay. Any questions? Anything? If you have, you can just write it in the comment. Okay. So we have discussed this package.json and this is the index.html file which will get served if in case if you have any static things, right, which you want to put that you can add it over here, and whenever you will bundle, right, those things will get automatically migrated in the bundled folder. Okay. So this is the main html file we can say. And the virtual DOM concept we spoke, right? We will explain it in detail in next sessions, but like just remember that in normal JavaScript, we will be having a document concept. Like if you go here, go to the inspect and just type document over here. Okay. So this is your DOM. Okay, everything will be there inside this document. So you can play around and like change the data, whatever the things, whatever the events that you want to update, right? You can come here and update it. So the similar concept is there in the React.js. Let me close this. So this div with ID as a React is your DOM. Okay. So and whenever you will create a bundle, right, so it will be connected, it will be integrated it with your react application with the script tag. Okay, so a script main.tsx file is there which will be connecting to this application. Okay, so we came here. So this is our initial source file, we can say, the first TSX file. So why TSX? Earlier we spoke about JSX, right? JavaScript syntax expression. Now we are using TypeScript, tightly bind script. So that's why the extension is says TypeScript extension. Okay, and in here if you see we are using create root, inside that we are adding this DOM element which is here we will be getting a DOM element which is called as root. If you have seen here, right, in the index HTML we have created a HTML element with the ID root. So this element we will be getting from this particular JavaScript code. Okay, it's a plain vanilla JavaScript file. It will get that particular element, and inside that particular element we will be loading our React application. Okay, so for us, for React application, this will be your virtual DOM. Okay, the element which is having ID root, and everything will be loaded inside that particular div element. Okay, fine. Let's go to the application folder. So here whatever you see over here, right, in let me just adjust it a little bit so you'll get an idea. Okay, so whatever the things that you will see on the screen, it's coming from this particular app.tsx file. Okay, so what it says, we have created a function which is called app. We have created a state where uh, we have created a state variable called count, and at the same time we will be having a function called set count which will update the counter. Okay, and this is the hook we use to create our state. Okay, we use state, and inside that we will pass the value, default value that we wanted to set to that particular state. Okay, initial value is 0, so whenever you will load the component, right, the default value will be 0. But in case if you wanted to like set the default value to something which is stored in the backend, right, so whenever you will get some data from the backend, you can set it as a default over here. Okay, and then in stateless component, so this is called as a stateless component. Okay, but again, in case of state, we wanted to use state inside the stateless component, so then they have introduced this hooks concept. Okay, so we will be using in the stateless component to make it stateful. And the next function is like return, so every function will be having something to return to its parent, right, wherever it is being used. So this app .ts6 files parent is the main file where we want something to return to our virtual DOM. So virtual DOM will be part. What is your virtual DOM? So your virtual DOM is this root, which we will be getting it from the DOM, actual DOM. Okay, and where it is in your HTML file, the element HTML element which we have created over here. Okay, and to that, so this is the JavaScript file. Inside that we have written the HTML file. That's why it is known as JavaScript syntax expression. Like we have an ability. Okay, so we have request. Good. Okay, chalega. So what we okay, it's a bit difficult now to get shifted to Hindi, but I'll try my best. Okay, if you have interest in it. तो क्या आपको समझ में आ रहा है, लाइक मैं जो भी आपको समझाने का ट्राई कर रहा हूँ ना, तो इंडेक्स डॉट एच टी एम एल जो फाइल होती है, ठीक है, वो वही फाइल अपने रिएक्ट एप्लीकेशन का स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट होता है, जहाँ पे अपना रिएक्ट एप्लीकेशन लोड होता है, ठीक है। एंड ये जो एलिमेंट है हमने बनाया हुआ है, जिसका आईडी हमने सेट किया है एज अ रूट। ओके, सो वो आईडी हम गेट करेंगे। या दैट्स फाइन। ओके, लेट्स गेट स्टार्ट। हिंदी में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वी कैन शिफ्ट टू हिंदी। ओके, तो ये जो एलिमेंट है जिसका आईडी हमने सेट किया है रूट, ओके, तो हम वो यूज़ करेंगे मेन डॉट टी ए सिक्स फाइल में, जहाँ पे हम ये क्रिएट रूट फंक्शन जो है, जो कि रिएक्ट डॉम से आता है, यहाँ पे हम उसको इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं रिएक्ट डॉम स्लैश क्लाइंट। ओके, तो ये जो फंक्शन है वो गेट करता है एक्चुअल डॉम एलिमेंट को। ओके, एंड हम यहाँ पे पास करेंगे उसका आईडी, जो हमने यहाँ पे HTML में क्रिएट किया। यू कैन कीप एनीथिंग, आप कुछ भी रख सकते हो, इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी टू बी रूट। आप वहाँ पे कुछ भी रख सकते हो, ऐप जो भी आपको वहाँ पे रखना है, बट इट्स बेसिक स्टैंडर्ड्स टू कीप इट एज अ रूट। ओके, हम रूट ही रखते हैं मोस्टली। तो वंस वी कीप इट एज अ रूट, तो अपना यहाँ पे वही नेम जो हमने इंडेक्स डॉट एच में दिया है, वही नेम हम यहाँ पे देंगे। एंड हम यहाँ पे डॉक्यूमेंट डॉट गेट एलिमेंट बाय आईडी फंक्शन जो है, जो नॉर्मली डॉक्यूमेंट डॉम जावास्क्रिप्ट का जो डॉम होता है, उसमें बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट ये फंक्शन होता है, जिसका यूज़ करके हम उस पर्टिकुलर एलिमेंट को गेट कर सकते हैं। एंड वंस वी गेट दैट, जब हम उस एलिमेंट को रिट्राइव कर लेते हैं, ठीक है, उसमें हमारा जो रिएक्ट का जो एप्लीकेशंस है, एप्लीकेशन जो है हम जो बिल्ड करने वाले हैं, दैट वी विल पास इट इनटू इट। ठीक है, उसमें हम इंटीग्रेट हो जाएगा वो यूजिंग दिस फंक्शन क्रिएट रूट। ओके, तो और जो भी आपका एप्लीकेशन का कोड है, वो app.tsx में आएगा. And it's recommended to have a separate component. Okay, we should not write everything in a single file. हम सब कुछ एक फाइल में नहीं लिखना चाहिए, ठीक है. It's not a best practice. For every file, every functionality, every component हम एक separate file बनाएंगे. And for every component we will create a separate styles. Okay, css, उसकी css अलग से create करेंगे, ठीक है. जैसे कि यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो कि app.css is created, ठीक है. app.tsx भी है यहाँ पे, एंड उसका रिस्पेक्टिव app.css is created. एंड उसका जो इंटीग्रेशन है, वी विल जस्ट इम्पोर्ट इट लाइक दिस. ओके, जब हम स्टाइल इंपोर्ट करते हैं, वी डोंट नीड टू मेंशन एनी नेम्स ओवर देयर, राइट. हमें कुछ नेम्स इंपोर्ट कर मेंशन करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जैसे कि हम कोई कंपोनेंट इंपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं, सपोज दिस ऐप डॉट टी एस एक्स इज गेटिंग इम्पोर्टेड इन मेन. तो हमने यहाँ पे कैसे लिखा है, इम्पोर्ट ऐप फ्रॉम ऐप डॉट टी एस एक्स. तो हमें ऐसे यहाँ पे सी एस एस के लिए लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, हम डायरेक्टली उसको इम्पोर्ट एंड दैट पाथ ऑफ दैट सी एस एस वी कैन मेंशन, ठीक है. तो ऐसे ये सी एस एस इंटीग्रेट हो जाएगी उसमें. ओके, ग्रेट. So let's play around with this particular setup. Okay, and जो भी आपके static files रहेंगे, जैसे कि images हैं and videos, anything related to your application will be stored inside the assets folder. Okay, तो इसमें store रहेगा. So what I'll do, I'll get everything removed from here. Okay, so we will play around with this. We don't need this counter for now. So once the moment I remove everything, right, ये यहाँ पे मुझे एरर देना शुरू किया इसने, बिकॉज हम उसको यूज़ नहीं कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. And it's coming from ESLint. So basically, ESLint is a configuration file which will come from this scaffolding. ये scaffolding के साथ आता है, and like where we can set up. हम वहाँ पे setup कर सकते हैं कि क्या best practices हैं हमारे React application में हमें follow करनी चाहिए. Okay, everything is mentioned in this particular file. Okay, so if you are not using something, it will throw you a runtime error message. ठीक है, तो let's remove this and let's get it saved. तो जैसे ही मैंने यहाँ पे सेव बटन पे क्लिक किया, you have seen here, right, nothing is being shown, a black screen is there, कुछ भी नहीं है. मैं यहाँ पे hello world वाला डाल देता हूँ. You can see the instant result over here. Okay, okay. तो आपको जो भी यहाँ पे दिखाना है, डेवलप करना है, दैट यू कैन कीप इट वर हियर. ओके, अभी यहाँ पे अपन दो तीन कंसेप्ट्स एक्सप्लोर करते हैं. स्टेट्स, प्रॉप्स, component inside. Okay, so inheriting child component into parent component, that you already got to know here, as यहाँ पे app.tsx हमने component बनाया. हमारा एक main.tsx नाम का component है जिसमें हम उसको app.tsx को inherit कर रहे हैं. Okay, how about now? Let me see. Okay. Can you hear me? Hello, I'm audible. Okay, superb, superb. Just give me a second. I'll just open something here. तो हम यहाँ पे फर्स्ट एप्लीकेशन यहाँ पे हमने बना दिया है, ठीक है. इनहेरिटिंग, क्रिएटिंग चाइल्ड कंपोनेंट, यूजिंग इट इन पेरेंट कंपोनेंट, ठीक है, वो भी हमने एक्सप्लोर किया है. नाउ वी विल सी व्हाट इज स्टेट्स एंड प्रॉप्स. ठीक है, स्टेट एंड प्रॉप्स क्या होता है एंड उसको कैसे यूज़ करते हैं, हाउ we can use that. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so I'll create one file over here, which is called as child component.tsx. तो जब भी हम कोई कंपोनेंट फाइल बनाते हैं, द एक्सटेंशन ऑफ दैट फाइल शुड बी tsx, ठीक है, क्योंकि वो हम कंपोनेंट रिटर्न करेंगे, ठीक है। एंड जब भी कोई ओनली जावास्क्रिप्ट रिलेटेड स्टफ रहेगा which is not related to your HTML thing that you want to return to your parent component, ठीक है, कोई utilities files हैं, ठीक है, कोई लाइब्रेरी फाइल्स है, इन दैट केस यू डोंट नीड टू क्रिएट tsx फाइल। ओके, तो यहाँ यहाँ पे हमने एक कंपोनेंट चाइल्ड कंपोनेंट डॉट tsx नाम की फाइल बना दी। एंड देन लेट मी जस्ट कम हियर, अभी दैट फाइल वी वांटेड टू यूज इट हियर। अभी जो है मुझे ये ऐप डॉट टी एस एक्स में सारी चीज़ें नहीं दिखानी है, ठीक है, वट एवर द मैसेज विल कम राइट शुड कम फ्रॉम इट्स, this app file should send the details like the name of the user, जो यूज़र का नाम है वो पास ऑन होगा। We will just we have created this child component, okay, I will call it as child like welcome note. I'll just name it as welcome note, and we will return it as welcome note. I'll rename this to welcome note. Okay, superb. So what we're gonna do is like we wanted to say hello Rahul, okay, and welcome to first, and we wanted to use this in our main.tsx file inside this app.tsx, okay. Instead of showing everything, what we're gonna do is we'll call this, and we will just import, okay. So this is imported, and now you can see that hello Rahul, right, and welcome to your first React application. So हमने यहाँ पे क्या किया है, like we have created one child component which is known as welcome note, और जो भी वहाँ पे app.tsx में हम दिखा रहे थे, we have copied it over here and we are returning it to the parent। तो अभी functionality में कोई change नहीं है, ठीक है, but now what we want here is like we wanted to implement props concept। तो जो नाम है, ठीक है, so नाम should be dynamic, okay, so it should show current logged in username, ठीक है। तो what I'll do is like I'll create a props। So this is the basic syntax to create props. Props means the collection of properties that we wanted to pass it from the child parent component to its child component, ठीक है। जो भी डेटा एट्रीब्यूट्स रहेंगे जो हमें पास करने इसके पेरेंट कंपोनेंट टू चाइल्ड कंपोनेंट में, टू मेक इट लाइक मोर फ्लेक्सिबल, इम्यूटेबल, देर इज़ अ कंसेप्ट कॉल्ड इम्यूटेबल, ठीक है। तो प्योर फंक्शन हम बोल सकते हैं विच इज़ टोटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन द इनपुट दैट वी पास टू द कंपोनेंट, ठीक है, जो भी हम इनपुट पास करेंगे उस कंपोनेंट का, उसके डिपेंडेंट ही आउटपुट हमें जनरेट होगा, ठीक है। तो हम यहाँ पे नेम एज अ प्रॉपर्टी लेंगे, एंड इन टाइप स्क्रिप्ट वी विल स्पेसिफाई व्हाट टाइप ऑफ दैट इनपुट वी विल बी टेकिंग, लाइक अभी नेम है तो उसका टाइप क्या रहेगा, सो इट विल बी इन स्ट्रिंग फॉर्मेट, राइट, so we will just mention it as a string, okay। it's giving us an error, it says it's defined, ठीक है, ये define किया है but हमने कहीं पे इसको use नहीं किया है। तो how we can use it, one of the way is like we can write a curly brace and then props and then name, ठीक है। so this is one of the way but it's not recommended, okay। हम ऐसे use कर सकते हैं इसको, जैसे कि मैंने यहाँ पे सेव किया है, वी हैवंट पास्ड एनीथिंग वो हेयर, ठीक है, यहाँ पे हमें एरर भी आ रहा है कि यहाँ पे नेम प्रॉपर्टी है जो कि रिक्वायर्ड है बट वो पास नहीं की है, ठीक है। बट इन केस ऐसी भी सिचुएशन आ सकती है कि लाइक वी कैन कीप इट ऑप्शनल, It's not necessary to pass every time, ठीक है. So at that time what we can do is like we can just add a question mark after this, ठीक है, and we will save this. See the error which was coming earlier, right, it's gone now, ठीक है. So we can keep it optional, just adding a question mark before that particular property name, ठीक है. And why I was saying this is not recommended, before that let's pass value here, uh, name राहुल, ठीक है. तो मैंने यहाँ पे डाल दिया नाम अपना एंड देन इट्स सेइंग हेलो राहुल, ठीक है. एंड ओके, let's go here again. So this is the way it's working fine, but it's not recommended. Okay, we can have multiple props inside this. So apna component like can use multiple properties, right, which needs to be passed from your parent component. तो उस केस में we have to destructure that, ठीक है. तो props dot name dot something something, so it will be very lengthy, right, बहुत बड़ा लंबा हो जाएगा and it's not the best practice to use. So what we will do, we will just destructure that. It has automatically given me a suggestion to destructure it. Okay, जैसे कि props dot name है उसको मैंने name में store कर दिया, and the default value in case if it is not provided, right, we can say that welcome hello guest, ठीक है. And instead of saying props here I'll just pass name, ठीक है. तो अभी मैंने वैल्यू तो पास की हुई है इसलिए इट्स सेइंग हेलो राहुल, ठीक है. बट व्हेन आई द मोमेंट आई रिमूव, लेट्स गो हियर, दिस वैल्यू फ्रॉम दिस कंपोनेंट, ठीक है, इट सेज हेलो गेस्ट, ठीक है. तो he's taking default value which we will be like which we have already configured in this child component, welcome note component, है ना. Now, why we are saying this is an reusable component, okay? अभी मुझे ऐसे welcome वाले जो notes हैं, ठीक है, वो मुझे multiple times बनाने हैं, ठीक है. What I'll try to do is like I'll try to write like this. But see, the moment I added multiple welcome notes elements inside this app, right, it's throwing me an error. ठीक है, because we can't add directly the elements at the root level. हम उसको ऐसे नहीं डाल सकते हैं. We have to wrap it inside one div और जो भी है. Suppose मैंने यहाँ पे div ले लिया and then inside that I have added three items. See, these three items got added and I'm able to see hello guest, hello guest. Okay, so I'll keep the name. The first name is Rahul. The second name is, suppose, Aman. Okay, I'll just save this. See, so different names we are passing. फर्स्ट में आपको राहुल दिख रहा है, सेकेंड में अमन दिख रहा है, एंड थर्ड में गेस्ट, बिकॉज वी हैवेंट पास्ड एनीथिंग टू द थर्ड कंपोनेंट, थर्ड एलिमेंट. ओके, थर्ड इंस्टेंस में हमने कुछ डेटा पास नहीं किया है. सो अगेन दिस वाज द ओल्डर वे टू राइट अ फंक्शन. अगेन न्यू ES6 फॉर्मेट में हम इसको ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं, कॉन्स्ट ऐप, ओके, इक्वल टू द एरो फंक्शन, वी विल कॉल इट एज अ एरो फंक्शन, ठीक है, जो कि रिटर्न करेगा आपका, ठीक है. Inside this we will be having this one, will be just returning, और इसको मैं रिमूव कर देता हूँ, ठीक है. So nothing has changed, it's working as is, ठीक है. So this is the best practice, I'll say, like modern way to write JavaScript and TypeScript, ठीक है. तो we can use this. Again, there are two kinds of component that we can export. By default it's a default component, ठीक है. But in case we wanted to return it as a named component, ठीक है, तो in that case we can remove this default and export. ठीक है, and then व्हेन ओके, तो मैंने वहाँ पे अभी डिफ़ॉल्ट वाला जो कंसेप्ट है वो निकाल दिया है, तो इट्स नॉट अ डिफ़ॉल्ट कंपोनेंट एनी मोर। ओके, टू import named component we use curly braces, ठीक है। The moment I added the curly braces, it's working. It's showing me the output as expected, ठीक है। So this is the props, you got it right. Props means like you just wanted to pass the data from parent component to child component. It can be of any type, जैसे कि मैंने यहाँ पे अभी नेम्स पास किए एज अ फॉर्म ऑफ स्ट्रिंग, ठीक है। बट इन केस, चलो ठीक है, मुझे क्या करना है अभी, मल्टीपल इंस्टेंसेस नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है। व्हाट आई विल बी हैविंग इज लाइक कॉन्स्ट कलेक्शन, ओके, equal to an array of okay, it will say name Rahul, Aman, ठीक है। सो ये कलेक्शन है मेरे पास, एंड आई वांटेड टू यूज दिस कलेक्शन एंड रिपीट इट। ओके, आई डोंट वांट टू राइट द नोट्स अगेन एंड अगेन, ठीक है। तो मैं क्या करूँगा, इसको curly braces again, curly braces, see, it's suggesting me everything. Okay, collection dot map what it will do, it will iterate the iterate the iterate the items inside that particular collection and will get stored inside the items। तो जो items आ रहे हैं, ठीक है, inside that what we will do is we will call this, ठीक है, and then done, that's it। And we will remove this, okay, see, so now I'm not calling this welcome note all the time. I'm just using this collection and looping it over, and then the output is generated, okay. Okay, so okay, what else? So fine, this is all about the states props that we have discussed, okay. And before we wrap up today's session, here is what's coming next. Like in the upcoming live session, we are going to dive deeper into some of the most powerful concepts in React, like React router for some page to page navigation without reloading the browser, Redux Context API for managing application wide state in a clean, predictable way, React hooks like use state and use effect, which makes functional component powerful and easy to work with. These are the real building blocks behind every modern React application. So make sure you stay tuned, keep learning with me, and follow the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next session. We will explore these topics in detail and build everything step by step together. And thanks a lot for joining in today. I hope you enjoyed the session and learned something new. Take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next live.